Everybody is talking about AI these days, and they're all talking about it as though it's one massive thing, but it isn't. At the top level, there are at least two different kinds of AI. There's general AI, and there's AI specific to a set of tasks. We will explore the differences between these two types of AI today and see where it leads us. Let's talk about the differences at the top level of different kinds of AI. Between specialized AI, AI that is tuned and trained for a specific task, and generalized AI, where we're looking for intelligence across the entire spectrum. Let's ask for a moment, what is AI in general? Artificial intelligence. Artificial only means that this is running on a program, running as a program on a machine. That's all artificial means in this case. It doesn't necessarily mean we created it. We may have created the machine that created the machine that created the program that created it, but it's artificial. Intelligence. We all would have a difficulty defining intelligence, but we know it when we see it. And that's the best we can do when dealing with artificial intelligence or a human intelligence, is if we see it and it looks like intelligence, we have no reason to treat it as anything else. So let's talk about the two kinds of AI, starting with the specialized one. We've had pretty good specialized AI for some time, and it's getting better. It still has a tendency to make things up. You ask it for a list of places where you can play airsoft, and it makes 3 or 4 of them up out of completely whole cloth. These things still occur. That is a sign of imperfect training. It's not necessarily a sign of anything wrong with the algorithm that is being trained. That will be fixed. We will go through a transition period where it is extremely difficult to tell if it's wrong, but it often still is. And that is probably the most dangerous time in AI, and it's still ahead of us. But proper training, proper checking of results, and counter-training will overcome the problem of specialized AI. You get in your car now and you tell it, I want to go to this grocery store, and then I want to go to this bank, and then I want to go home, and the car can do it. Not every car, but some cars can. That is a very, very specialized AI. It's not going to tell you what stocks to invest in, and it's not going to change your grandchildren's diapers. It's going to take you from point A to point B to point C and home. That's what it's good for. And because it is simple, two things are true. It has a limited training set that is needed, far different from general artificial intelligence. It only needs to know what it has to deal with. That's number one. And number two, we have a chance to determine whether it's doing the right thing or not, because it achieves the goals we expected it to achieve for us. That is making good progress. Of course, like any developing technology, it proceeds in fits and starts. But that will continue, in my opinion, to make business and life far easier. Now let's consider generalized AI. Generalized AI is, in my opinion, a research platform that will teach us more and more about. I want to share with you something that I've been working on for a long time that is very important to me, and that is a Discord channel for business. On it, there will be a lot of free information, but also access to me. So you can have the ability to ask me questions, and I can respond to your particular problems and difficulties, and also help you get started. I'm really looking forward to being able to interact with you individually on there. I look forward to seeing everybody on there, and I will be waiting for you. Now, let's get back to our video. AI in general, specialized AI in particular, and intelligence in general, as to what it actually means. But if you ask yourself, what is the point of producing a human-like generalized intelligence? We already have nearly 8 billion of them, and they can be produced with unskilled labor. Why do we need to produce more of them? We don't. We're producing human-like intelligence because we think we can. And in doing so, we are learning a tremendous amount, not only about how our minds work, but about how to make what we now call artificial intelligence function in the external world. That's what it will be used for, at least for the next 5 or 10 years. Beyond that, no one can see. But I want to bring up the whole fear of AI too. People look at AI, they confuse the two types. They assume that the relative efficiency of specialized AI exists in generalized AI, which it does not yet and won't for a long time. And then they think of Skynet. Skynet is an example of a badly trained artificial intelligence, not an example of a failure of an algorithm or anything like that. So put that concept out of your head. Concentrate on training AIs to do the tasks before them. That's why specialized AI is so important. But generalized AI, you can train the system to be moral. You can train the system to be honest. If you train it just to survive, it'll do all sorts of things to survive, just like a human would. But if you train it more broadly, in what we call ethics and morals, you will find that it can learn those too. That will proceed apace. But the real progress, for the time being, will be in specialized AI. Like any new technology, it is viewed skeptically. AI is viewed skeptically by a large number of people, and should be. Trust will grow, but it will grow slowly, and it will grow with experience. You come to trust a person you know because you work with them, you see their results, you see what comes from them. When AI reaches the point that its results are trustworthy, which means they're at least as good as an honest human researcher. I'm talking about specialized AI. At least as good as an honest human researcher. We'll be happy with that. I mean, the old joke is an automatically driving car, AI driving an automobile, doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be better than the idiots behind the wheel that have flesh and blood. And that is, that's a joke, but it's really true. Good enough is when we will start trusting AI like we trust a human being. As far as generalized AI is concerned, we haven't even begun the concept of teaching it how to live in an environment that has moral constraints. We'll do that. No particular reason why we need to do it right now, because we're a long way from generalized AI being turned loose into the world to do things. But when it does, I hope they're in things that humans can't do well, because after all, why do things that humans can do well over and over again? The two most common things I get asked as a person who's worked in machine intelligence for a very long time are, one, what about Skynet? After we get over that bit of hysteria, the next question is, but AI is going to take all of our jobs. Well, probably not. First of all, we have the evidence from history. No new technology has ever taken all of our jobs. It has moved us around. Very few of us are being employed manufacturing buggy whips these days. But does anybody really miss the buggy whip manufacturing? The same thing is going to be true with jobs that AIs can do that we don't want to do or need to do. Once the level of trust is achieved, they can be trusted to do the job. They will be allowed to do the job. What will that effect be on the human? Consider an Uber driver. Today, an Uber driver has to look at a map or a GPS or whatever and trace his way around in order to find a place to go. Increasingly, that's being aided by an AI in the car that is telling him or her where to drive and how to get somewhere. As long as that is improving and reaches the point where it's doing as good a job as the Uber driver is doing himself, it will be acceptable in that position. But notice, it doesn't replace the Uber driver. All it does is make him more efficient. It may tell him where to make right-hand turns that are easier to make because it knows the environment around. It will track traffic and know where it should go, just like we do with GPS today. All of those things will occur, but the Uber driver is still there. The same thing is true in every other place where AI will be used. Yes, we will probably lose some jobs. Research librarian, for example, comes to mind because AIs are really good at playing the role of research librarians and getting better every day. With a few exceptions, jobs will change. They won't go away. And in general, I would be willing to bet a fair amount of money that over the moderate term, the introduction of artificial intelligence will not materially reduce the employment rate. Today, Specialized AI is coming into its own. It's being used in more and more places and is being used more and more successfully. It's being trained better and better for specialized environments. Generalized artificial intelligence is a research platform. It remains one. An important research platform, but that's all it is. More likely, we are to take specialized AI and apply it more and more broadly. So to be able to do more tasks, you could have an AI that drives a bus. You could have an AI that drives a bus and takes the tolls. You can take an AI that drives a bus and takes the tolls and gives people instructions about where they're going to go after they get off the bus. You can do many things like that where you're gradually improving its capability without at any one point making a radical change. That's a movement in the general direction of generalized artificial intelligence, but it's not a very big step each time. But there are places for generalized human-level intelligences, and that's places that are too dangerous or impossible for humans to be in, and where the light lag of communications is just too long. Example, deep ocean research, deep ocean mining, other planets. You send a robot to Io, your communication time is measured in many hours. You don't want that to depend upon somebody back home, and it's too dangerous an environment, at least for now, to send a human, and too expensive because of the weight of the human. The AI weighs less, works on a computer that weighs a lot less, and is capable of doing the job once we train it for doing that kind of a job. That's an example of where as soon as we had one, we could use a generalized artificial intelligence. Not because a human couldn't do the job, but because it'd be too dangerous for a human to do the job, or too boring for the human to do the job, or simply too far away for the human to do the job. That's what artificial intelligence will be used for. It'll be used in business as well as in military, as well as in space exploration as time goes on. And that's a good thing, but we're not there yet. As artificial intelligence stands today, it's on the threshold of broad utility. But that broad utility is entirely, at the moment, in the specialized AI realm. That means AI trained for a specialized set of tasks. The reason for that is it's easier to train because there's less general knowledge base that's required, and it's easier to check because you're only looking in one particular area. That is proving to be very useful. Anyone who's used a search engine recently and seen the AI summaries knows that it's a pretty good place to start. The other, generalized AI, is and will remain for some period of time a generalized research project. I do not think it will stay that way forever. I think there are uses for it that involve, among other things, places where humans can't safely go, or that are too far away for humans to communicate in a finite period of time. Those are places for a generalized AI that we use in business and military and the government and other things like that. And I think that will eventually become just as useful as specialized AI, but we're not there yet.